Hi guys, this is going to be a hopefully very short video. We're going to be talking about direct variation today and kind of getting almost to where we do slope. We're going to talk about slope in the next lesson. So what I want you to do first is get out your lesson 3.3 homework practice worksheet. Just a warning, in the next video, in the next lesson, lesson 3.4, I also called it 3.3. I got the worksheet switched up. So in the next lesson, make sure you label that 3.4 and not 3.3. This is truly 3.3 because it matches the worksheet for this one. The next one, I say 3.4, but it should be 3, or I say 3.3, but it should be 3.4. So just a note for that one. So on your homework practice worksheet, we're going to be talking about equations in that y equals mx form. We're going to be talking application problems, which is really quite helpful when you're talking about real world. You're going to take this and apply it into everyday life, at least the concept of it, even if it's not just the whole thing. So the first one it gives us is a problem about advertisements. So it says the number of vehicles a dealership sells varies directly with the amount they spend on advertisements. So the more ads they make, the more they're selling, which makes sense. So it says, how many vehicles does the dealership sell for each $1,000 spent on advertising? So it looks like if you were to try to find a spot where it crosses, when you spend $10,000, you have sold 80 vehicles. So for every 10 sets of $1,000, you have sold 80 vehicles. You could also maybe switch it up. Remember, we talk about our rise/fall of our run. So let's actually swap this now. Even though that's the order, sometimes it says in words. You're going to swap it and you're going to talk about vehicles sold first. So for every 80 vehicles you've advertised 10 times. Now this is an easy fraction because we can just reduce it down and this becomes 8. So for every $1,000 you spend on advertising, you are selling 8 vehicles. So our answer would be 8 vehicles. You can read that. That says 8 vehicles. If you want to be overachiever status, you could write maybe a full sentence of 8 vehicles for every $1,000 spent on advertising. Then this one it says snowmobiles on this. Obviously, they're from the lower 48 and they don't know anything. But so I changed it to snow machines, but it says Bruce rents snow machines to tourists. This could happen. He charges $135 for 4 hours and $202.50 for 6 hours. What is the hourly rate Bruce charges to rent a snowmobile? So if the hourly rate is $135 for 4 hours, we're comparing $135 to 4 hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my calculator and I'm going to divide 135 by 4. And that turns out to be 33.75. When I do these word problems, I want you to think to yourself, does this make sense? Does it make sense that he's charging $33.75 per hour? I would say, yeah, that seems fair. That seems like a pretty fair rental price for tourists, especially. So 33.75, remember, if it's asking in words, you answer in words. So 33.75 per hour. That is the rate here. And that is it. That's how you do those problems. You're just going to set up that ratio and check out what it is. The other type of problems you're going to do have to do with the direct variation. The direct variation is getting very, very close to talking about slope. At this point, this lesson just calls it something different. It's kind of comes from, how much do you vary And in this case, in linear equations, you vary the same across the board. You always increase the same amount. You always increase each of them by the same amount. The thing to remember for these is that you need to remember to put your y over x, which is confusing because they put x and then y. So you just have to be very, very careful here to make sure you put them in the right order. So the first thing I want to do is I want to check out, to get from 10 to 20, how much did I increase? Well, I increased 10. And then to get from 2 to 4, how much did I increase? Well, I increased by 2. Guess I can make my pluses. Same thing here. From 4 to 6, it was plus 2. From 6 to 8, it was plus 2. From 20 to 30, it's plus 10. And from 30 to 40, it was plus 10. So that was called, that's why it's called the, if I can move my thing here, and move me over, constant of variation. It's constantly adding 10 first, and then it is constantly, for the x, adding 2. 10 divided by 2 is a nice number because we can reduce that down to 5. 5 over 1 or just 5. That is our constant of variation. Same thing for 6. We're going to check out how much are we increasing to get from each of these. One of the tricks you can do is on your calculator, even on your phone calculator at home, if you wanted to see how much do I add to 95 to get to 190, you can take your phone and you can even type in there or in a calculator, start with your 190, and then you're just going to subtract 95 from it. That's backwards, but that's all right. And it is 95. You could also check that by saying 95 plus 95 and seeing if that's 190, which it is. So you would say plus 95 here. So that's our constant variation that we're adding to. And then to get from 5 to 10, you're adding 5 each time. So for y over x, you're going to have 95 over 5. This can also be reduced. I can finish writing it down. If you reduce this down, it becomes 19, and that is your answer. That's how you do all of them. I appreciate you guys watching this, taking the time to learn. Finish your study guide and intervention worksheet, and then tomorrow you will be working on your other practice worksheet for this. All right, have a good day, guys. See ya.